I'd like to welcome everybody this morning, and I want to thank you for your interest in the Art Start Grant Program. This morning's info session should help prepare you for completing the Art Start 2021 grant application. My name is Heather. I'm the grant administrator at Newark Arts, and I'll be going through the PowerPoint presentation, and Cindy Sanchez, who is our graphic designer, will go over the actual application. So, just so you're aware, if you've never applied for the Art Start grant before, reviewing this session is mandatory for first-time grant applicants. Everyone should also be aware that we are recording this morning's program, and we're going to make it available on our website. So we want you to visit newarkarts.org/artstart for more information about the application and the program, or to review this presentation, or to download a PDF copy of this morning's PowerPoint, and then also to access the Art Start application. We'd like to begin this morning's session with a brief history of Newark Arts and the Art Start program. Newark Arts was created in 1981 to advance and expand the city of Newark's artistic and cultural resources. Our mission is to power the arts to transform the lives of those who live in, work in, and visit Newark. At Newark Arts, we understand the value of art in the community. Our goal is to make art relevant and accessible to everyone. Newark Arts established the Art Start grant program in 2001, so this marks our 20th anniversary year. Art Start was created to nurture arts and cultural activities and to enhance the capacity of nonprofit organizations, schools, and individual artists to provide art-based projects throughout Newark's 5 wards. The Art Start 2021's events must take place between July 1st, 2021 and June 30th, 2022. The programs that are considered for this grant must demonstrate cultural assets as a vital part of community life, education, well-being, and economic development. Programs should be designed to serve as a catalyst for cultural activities that is either not available, sporadic, or available only in limited supply within a community. Grant projects may be inclusive of various artistic disciplines, including the creative, visual, literary, performing, film, and public arts. And the pandemic has had a large impact on our community, on our public gatherings and activities. So awarded grantees must follow government guidelines that have been designed to protect the public during the COVID-19 pandemic. Art Start grant provides support for local arts and cultural organizations, schools, and individual artists. Organizations that wish to provide a community-based arts program within the city of Newark are eligible to apply. However, to request this grant, your organization must be a federally tax-exempt Section 501c3 charitable organization with an annual budget of less than $1 million or an accredited school or public agency. Individual artists who are not 501c3 status must partner with a nonprofit organization, school, or agency serving as their fiscal agent. A memorandum of understanding is required as evidence of this relationship. Organizations with no IRS determination letter must partner with a tax-exempt organization that will serve as a fiscal agent. And again, a memorandum of understanding is required as evidence of this relationship. Newark schools, public, private, and charter, may apply for support of summer and in or out of school time creative arts projects. And here we have a picture of Keys on Tours. This is a group 2018 grantees. So these were children who were being given keyboard lessons. So this is just one example of successes of our program. So Newark Arts staff, we don't decide who receives an Art Start grant. We have a professional peer review panel who will review all the applications, and they'll make the recommendations to our board of directors. And the board of directors then will do the final approvals on the grants. So when reviewing the applications, the panel will give paramount consideration to projects that display a collaboration with community-based organizations and local neighborhoods. These projects should address civic and social needs and empower residents. They should stimulate creativity and community engagement. They should engage diverse populations such as children, youth, seniors, and people with special needs. The project should be led by a small budget organization or individual artists, and they should occur in neighborhoods beyond downtown Newark. When completing your grant application, consider proposing an artistic program that benefits the underserved communities. Programs that address a specific community issue or concern should include in your application proposal documentation which demonstrates collaboration with at least one community organization, a description of how and why the specific project was developed, and how the project will benefit the targeted audience. Be sure to demonstrate in your proposal your ability to administer the program. Include realistic implementation strategies, include how you will report data and evaluate or assess your program, include a well-written narrative, an appropriate budget, and support material regarding anticipated effectiveness of the program. And here is another picture. So the first picture, we had children. Here we have adults. This is Our Stories, Our Lives. And I think, again, this was 2018 grantees. So important to note, these are dates that you will want to make note of. The application will become available January 25th. It can be accessed through our portal on our website at newarkarts.org/artstart. Grant preparation workshop, which is what we're doing right now. This is being recorded and it's going to be available again at newarkarts.org/artstart. And remember, first-time applicants, we want you to view it. It's a mandatory to view this info session. The application deadline this year is April 30th. And because it's a submittable form, so all applications have to be submitted by 11:59 on April 30th. Late applicants will not be accepted. All applicants will receive notice of their award status in June. The funding period begins July 1st and goes through June 30th of 2022. So that means that no program can begin earlier than July 1st. And you must have your program completed by June 30th. And for all grantees, the final report will be due in June of 2022. We'll send out the final report sometime in January next year for you to complete, so you'll have time. Support material to include with your application could include your memorandum of understanding if that's required, proof of commitment from professionals that you are hiring, proof of commitment that you have secured a project location, resumes of key project participants, 3 work samples, which could include pictures or documents that demonstrate your ability to successfully complete the project. And we're also requesting that you submit your organization's most recent annual budget. Organizations may submit one ArtStart 2021 grant application requesting no more than $3,000 for projects that occur between July 1st, 2021 and June 30th, 2022. ArtStart staff will review applications for completeness only. A professional peer review panel will review submitted proposals based on the evaluation criteria. Their deliberations will be provided to the Newark Arts Board of Directors, who will make final funding and award decisions. And then an important note here regarding deadlines and dates, we want schools and other applicants who are partnering with schools to make a special note that the programs cannot start before July 1st. So they can run through the summer and then they can run through the school year next year, from September through June. And here is Dance Intensive Ivy Hill. They were 2019 grantees. So we have different artistic forms too. This is a dance company. We had keyboard, we had music, and we had stories. And Okay, so when creating your budget, you want to keep in mind areas that the grant will assist with, and these items may be included in column A in the budget line of the application. And these expenses that can be covered are artist fees, coordinators, technical crew, and other professional fees, space rental, props, transportation costs, and other material fees integral to the project or related to making it accessible to people with disabilities, such as sign language interpreter or audio equipment. Operating expenses such as printing, photocopying, supplies, and materials. Promotional expenses related to the project. If you have an expense not listed, please call us and discuss your special needs. And there's also on our website a place where you can type in questions and they will be sent to us. So then, by the same respect, you also want to keep in mind what is not funded by the Art Start grant. So these would be programs in service of individuals outside of Newark. Treatment programs such as substance abuse or alcohol abuse. However, a creative arts program such as poetry, music, visual arts, etc. These services, you can create programs that serve these populations. Athletic teams and events are not covered. Fundraising or gala events, advocacy and research groups are not covered. Capital or building construction projects and endowment campaigns are not covered. Support of permanent staff during their usual jobs is not covered. Art Starts grants are designed for projects beyond your normal business functions. And we also do not support scholarship funds. So all applicants are required to complete the project budget form, and the first column is an untitled column, and this lists the expenses. Then there's column A, which in that you put the expenses that are covered by the Art Start grant, and that should equal the amount you're requesting. Column B, then you'll put the other expenses that are not covered by the grant. And then column C will total columns A and B. And you want to confirm that all your figures add up correctly and correspond to the figures you provide in the narrative question 8 of the application. And it's not necessary to have a figure on each line on the form. Complete only what is applicable to your project. And grant funds may be allocated for one or more categories. So now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and Cindy will be able to start sharing her screen.
Hello, everyone. This is for now a sneak peek. The application is not yet open. We're using the Submittable platform. For you to, if you have not created a Submittable account before, you will need one. Please make sure that you use an email that you check frequently, because it will be our way of communication up until your final report in June next year. The first thing you have to do, again, is create an account at Submittable, and then you find our application when it goes live. Here is a few information that Heather already went through, the specific dates, the maximum amount that you can request, a few priorities, and if you need more specific guidelines, you can always download this PDF. We can start by naming our project. This will be how we recognize you on our end. So make sure that your project has a name. It doesn't have to be a final name, but enough for us to understand what the project is about. Here you can choose, depending on what your application is, if you're an organization, an individual artist, or an organization without a 501c3 status. When you choose this one, it will open the details for contact information. May that be your name, mailing address, website, and specific contact people. If you are an individual artist or an organization without a 501c3 status, you also need to include the contact information of your partnering non-for-profit. Once you finish our contact information, we have a few additional details. We want to know exactly what word you're serving. You can choose more than one word. We also want to know the artistic discipline that your project will be involved. Again, you can also choose more than one discipline. Here you specify the amount requested. Remember, you can go up to $3,000. Here is your summary statement. Instructions will always be found to the right. In no more than 75 words, provide a summary of your project that may be used for publication. And every single one of these written portions will have a limit of words right here underneath of how many words you can use. And if you go past it, a message would prompt you to correct that mistake before the application can be saved. Something that I would like to mention is that Submittable saves the process. So as you continue to build the application, you can always save and come back to it later, and all of it will remain there. Over here, we have the 501c3 letter of determination. So if you're an individual artist or organization without a 501c3 status, you must upload the letter of determination of your fiscal agent. Also, we have an authorization. Here is the authorization blurb. You have to copy this into a different Word document and have it be signed by the Chief Administrative Officer of the organization applying or the fiscal agent acting on behalf of the person applying for the grant. Here we go onto the narrative section. This is your opportunity to tell the review panel on Newark Arts about your organization or yourself. Assume reviewers are not familiar with your organization or your previous experience. Be sure to include background data that supports your project choice. It may be helpful to begin with name of organization or artists is applying for this amount of funding to do this project. Provide both quantitative, numerical, and qualitative observable information where possible. Your narrative must provide a detailed description of the purpose of this grant, how it aligns with your organization or your own artistic mission. Have a clear statement of the need that you will be addressing. Tell your plan of action of how you will accomplish, who will it benefit, and how will you spend the money. Be careful not to use jargon of abbreviations. Responses must be 500 words or less. Again, if you go past, the form will let you know. So here we start with the description. Again, information to your right. What is the project? What are the goals and objectives? How does it align with your mission? Where and when will it take place? In which ward? How many programs or activities will take place? Is there an admission charge or other fee? Have you ever done this project before? When and why is it important to do it again? Management. Provide the name and key qualifications of partners, coordinators, artists, and other relevant personnel which make them appropriate for your project. On the need, why was the project selected? How will your artists or other partners contribute to the success of the project if different than above two? Your target population, here you specify the number of individuals you expect to directly serve. Describe their demographics and other key characteristics. How will they directly and indirectly benefit from the project? How will your project be accessible to individuals with disabilities in compliance with ADA? Here we go on the evaluation portion. How will you measure and document your success? Please include anecdotal evidence and submit photographs with your support material if the same or similar programs were previously provided. Outreach. How will you advertise and promote your project? On your timeline, what is the monthly schedule from grant approval through the conclusion of the project? And on your budget, what is the total cost of the project? How will you spend the grant funds? If additional funds are necessary to successfully undertake the project, well, where will you get these funds? How were the expenses determined? Be sure this information matches the expenses and income of the project budget form. This is question 8, and this one takes you on to the project budget spreadsheet. Here's where we want to know your numbers. This is a budget that both demonstrates the expenses and indicates the source of funds, the grant and other income dedicated to covering the costs of implementing the project. So if your project perhaps needs $5,000 and you are getting 3 from ArtStart, we would like to know where or how you're matching the other funds necessary. Here you can please fill out this budget. Over here, this functions just as a spreadsheet, as Excel spreadsheet. You can specify your personnel need, for instance, You can say, I need 2 people from our start. You can say, I need $200 in artistic fees and other income will facilitate me for, and this will do the math for you. Please only remember to fill only the needs that are particular to your project. It's fine if you leave spaces blank. Over here at the bottom, you can indicate the source of funds listed in column B. Column B being the assets coming from other income. They may be from organizational budgets, other grants or donations, or anticipated admission fees. Over here, please indicate any in-kind donations you anticipate to receive for your project. In-kind donations being anything except for monetary income. Here is where you give us some support material. You can apply up to 20 files to attach, and they could be the proof of commitment from professionals you plan to hire, the proof of commitment from the location where your project will take place, resumes of project coordinators, artists, and other professionals involved with the project, sample support material attesting to your ability to successfully complete the project, and your organizational annual budget if applicable. You can also include photographic, video, or any type of PDF documentation that proves that you have successfully done a similar project in the past. By the end, please agree to the terms and conditions and either save your draft or submit. Only submit when you are ready, because when the submission goes through, it is final. Okay, so that's all on my end in terms of the application. We are now ready to answer any questions you may have. Heather, back to you.
Yeah. So I do see in the chat that there is one question from Henry, and it says, does whatever we're making have to be targeted towards Newark residents, or does it just have to be made in Newark? So we want, it's for the benefit of Newark, for those who live and work in Newark, and it, you know, we also do want the events to take place in Newark, because you know, it makes it easier for people to get to it, you know, if it's in Newark. So it's beneficial all around. It's an activity that's positive for the community and for the residents. So, did that help? I don't know. And if you have questions and you want to speak too, if you guys raise your hand, we'll unmute you and let you speak. Can a person submit more than one application? We don't encourage that, because we want one application, one project. And we're assuming that you're only going to have one project. If you work with another application, you could, I guess, do it, but it's not encouraged. Oh, all right.
Yes, so for Philip Masso asking, the submittable application is not yet live. Application will go live on the 25th, if I'm correct, Heather?
Yes, that's correct.
This is only a sneak peek for you to see the interface of how the application will go.
All right. Did I miss any other questions? For recording a film or cert, can it only be recorded exclusively in Newark? Probably no, but maybe if you want to reach out to me with more specifics, I can better answer that question.
To that, I perhaps would say if the film would serve the Newark community and involve the Newark community, then perhaps. It depends on the specificity of the project.
And did I miss? All right, Newark Arts Submittable. It says there's, oh, that's when you answered. Okay, so if an arts group presents a music program online due to current issues, would that be considered, as well as reach more than just Newark residents? Yes. So because of COVID, yes, we're expanding that online things will be considered. because it's sometimes going to be very hard to have personal interactions with people. So yes. When you do that, of course, you can reach beyond Newark, but we do want Newark to be your key focus and the residents. And what would be an example of a sample that proves that this project can be possible? So I think you're talking about where it said the 3 documents, right, that we want you to submit. If this is something that you've done in the past, and you have pictures or even flyers, saying, come to our show, or just different forms of evidence that this has occurred and it occurred successfully. If this is a new project, then if you can just upload like descriptions of what, and you can take pictures if you're having people come together to build something. Maybe you can submit proposal ideas or pictures of what you have leading up to that.
I would say in terms of proof, it could also be anything that demonstrates your ability to fulfill this project. If you're an artist and you're doing an art project, then perhaps, show us some pictures of your work. If you're a filmmaker and you're working on a film, show us some of your previous work, and so forth.
Fantastic. And I'm a little unclear as an individual artist what I need to provide for the nonprofit status. So what you need to do is you need to partner with an organization who has a nonprofit status, and it could be it could be a school, it could be a church, it could be an organization that has this status. And because we can only partner with a nonprofit for this grant, so we would pay them and they in turn would pay you, and that you would be able to use the grant then to support your project. And essentially it's just a partnership with that organization, and just support from the nonprofit community.
Yeah.
What is your contact info?
If anybody has any other questions, comments, or doubts, you can go to newarkarts.org/artstart. In there, if you go to the application portion, at the moment, we have a place where you can message Heather directly with any of your concerns.
And this is a new project, but I've done many other successful projects. Can they be used as examples? Yes, you can show past projects even though they're not the same, as proof that you can fulfill your commitment.
Is there a place where we can download the presentation to review further? Yes, so the PDF, the PowerPoint that Heather was showing you in the beginning is already there for you to download. Again, newarkarts.org/artstart. And the recording will be available as soon as this is done. Perhaps Monday.
I'll give you a little time. Okay. Any other questions? Should I pull up the PowerPoint and look at the other questions and see if?
Sure, let's take a look at the usual FAQ and see if that answers anything else.
Okay. So frequently asked questions. So what is the success rate? I'm sorry, I have things so I can see my screen. What is the success rate for ArtStart applicants? As funds are limited, grants are very competitive. Historically, approximately 1 in every 3 proposals have been funded. So, and also be aware that proposals may not be fully funded. And remember, 3,000 is the most. Can Newark Arts staff help me with my application? Members of Newark Arts may be contacted to answer specific questions about the application materials and forms. However, Newark Arts does not review the proposals or provide edits or texts or budgets. I'm not from Newark. Can I still apply for an ArtStart grant? Organizations and artists not from Newark seeking funding support for programs specifically in service of Newark residents are welcome to apply. As long as your program happens within the city of Newark and benefits its communities, you're eligible for an Art Start grant. What if only part of my program happens in Newark? Newark Arts only supports projects that happen in Newark. So I am just going to add on that though, but because of COVID, we do understand that if you're online, that's okay. If part of your project occurs outside of the city, you must clearly demonstrate that the grant funds you are requesting are being applied only the portion happening in Newark. We strongly recommend that proposed projects happen here in their entirety and benefit only Newark and its communities. I plan to partner with other organizations. Should I list them in my proposal? Local partnerships are integral to the success of any community-based project. You must mention your partners, indicate whether they are confirmed or proposed, and tell us how they will be involved. A letter of support from the executive director is also required. I have a great idea for a project, but nowhere to hold it. What should I do? Applications must secure space to run their programs prior to submitting their proposal. Our panel will be looking at how realistic your program is to implement based on the details you provide and your program history and experience. Projects proposed without a definite space are deemed less realistic. And here's self-made women business owners in Newark South and West Wards. This were 2019 grantees. What is the ADA and how does it affect my program? The Americans with Disabilities Act is a civil rights law that prohibits discrimination against individuals with disabilities in all places that are open to the general public. The purpose of the law is to ensure that people with disabilities have the same rights and opportunities as everyone else. This means that your venue should be accessible to people who have mobility impairments, and you should seek to accommodate people who are hearing or visually impaired or have other disabilities by asking them to let you know in advance of special needs. It's advisable to have an organizational ADA plan that describes those accommodations that are currently available and notes those that are being planned for. How should I notify Newark Arts Council if my email or mailing address changes after I submit my Art Start grant application? So you can contact us. This is our phone number, 973-643-1625 or info@newarkarts.org to let us know. You can also contact me directly. Be sure to provide your contact information, the name of your organization, old address information, and any updated contact information in the email. And are Art Start grants transferable? The grants are not transferable. Grants may be spent only on those activities specified in the grant application or approved in the project or budget revision. Applicants must submit a written request to Newark Arts Council prior to implementing any project or budget revisions. If the project cannot for any reason be implemented as described, the grant check must be returned to Newark Arts Council. And what happens if my proposal falls through after I've been awarded an Art Start grant? Major changes to your project, such as population served, staffing, funding, timeline, location, partners, must be approved prior to proceeding. You must submit a written request for approval explaining the proposed changes before moving forward with your project. If the alteration to your project changes the initial scope, benefit, or impact of your award proposal, you may not receive your funding. If I'm awarded a grant, what are the requirements and payment information? You may not spend grant dollars until you've received an official award letter and signed a contract. Within 30 days following the conclusion of the project, you must submit a final report, which will be provided. We're January of 2022 is when we'll send out the final reports. Describing the project, how the grant funds made a difference, the number of demographics of the participants and audience, and a completed final budget form. Failure to submit a complete final form in a timely manner will affect future funding. So resources, will you send us a grantee kit? Resources are available at newarkarts.org to help you promote your partnership. Recipients of Art Start grants are provided with all necessary documentation. I think this might have to be updated. Posters, proper logos. We have logos that we can,
Yes,
directions on how to properly credit the Newark Arts Council. Yes.
the grantee kit will be uploaded once grantees have been announced for
Okay.
media and
Okay.
for social shares.
Fantastic, thank you. Organizations receiving support are encouraged to promote receipt of the award through press and social media. If I'm a first-time applicant, how do I make sure I'm successful? Newark Arts staff strongly recommended that you choose a reviewer for your application. Have someone to whom you trust with your application to check for typos or anything you may have missed. Did you include all the required attachments? Did you answer each question to the best of your ability? Select a friend, colleague to check over your application before submission. Sometimes the best thing is to have a second set of eyes.
Yes, and remember, you can always save your drafts as you continue to build your application. Be aware that the submit button is final.
Yes, and so, yeah, so you have from January 25th through April 30th. So, you know, you don't have to, you know, you can take your time in creating your application. And here is Spark with the Arts 2020 grantees. They were in the parks in Newark and worked with groups of children. So we have a whole spectrum of, you know, grantees. And finally, we'd like to recognize our supporters. Newark Arts gratefully recognizes supporters of the Newark Arts Start Grant Program, Prudential Foundation, New Jersey Arts and Cultural Recovery Fund, CARES Act funding via NJSCA, Geraldine R. Dodge Foundation, the New Jersey State Council of the Arts, Department of State, the Terrell Fund, Bank of America, and M&T Bank. And were there any other questions in the chat that I missed or anything that anybody would like us to go over? What are the ages group? I think you're at there is no age group. You can do children, youth, adults, seniors. You can target people with disabilities or other, you know, social concerns. So there is no age group. And then how do I contact you directly? Cindy had told us that you can go to newarkarts.org/artstart, and there will be a form where you can directly contact me if you have any questions. So if there are no other questions, we again want to thank you for your interest in the Art Start program. I wish you all success in your
Final
project.
question was, what is the deadline?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. April 30th is the deadline. It's 11:59 p.m. because this is submitted online. If you know, once midnight hits, it will be closed and no more applications will be accepted.
Is it okay if I share the website real quick?
Please.
Just for everyone, here we are, newarkarts.org/artstart. This is what you see. If you click on application to your right hand, here is where we will be announcing the application opening. This will guide you directly to the submittable on January 25th. And here is the PowerPoint that Heather was showing, only the one you can already immediately download it. And also you will find the recording here starting next week.
All right, well, thank you very much, everybody. I'm looking forward to seeing all your applications. And please reach out if you have any other questions. So thank you.